aka Gearheads. This is the first week of Sturgis starts this week, so this is my video on my first time to Sturgis. Okay, now I have a 1981 shovelhead at the time that starts to give me a problem. Okay, I also have the biggest job of my career at Cat 5 cable starting, and I am going to Sturgis. There is no question about me going. Okay, so I have my 30 some odd foot long RV. I have a crew cab, 4-wheel drive Ford. A buddy of mine, Johnny Land is my name. Good friend of mine. Haven't talked to him in a while. And also my wife, Stacy. Now, I like to, if I mention names, I like to say something about the people. Johnny C's a good friend of mine, and his mother, Doris, has passed away. But Doris, okay, gave me this little Humpty Dumpty. Now, she loved it, and I saw it, and I loved it. And Doris, bless her soul, she gave me Humpty. And only Johnny C. and Doris would know what means, but that's my shout out to Doris. But anyway, we are going to Sturgis, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, my bike has a problem. It's smoking and whatnot, and I am trying to fix that, have torn it apart and put it back together, and it just keeps doing the same thing. And my wife, Stacy, says, why don't you just take it to somebody else and have them fix it? And I'm like, what? You know, that's why you have no money. And at the time, I had money, lots of it. And, but Sturgis is getting close. Job is going on. I ended up taking it over to a guy by the name of Mike Finley. Okay? Mike has a bike, and I tell him I'm going to Sturgis. Got to have it for Sturgis. Make sure that bike's ready to go to Sturgis. And I also have one of the guys working for me, because I just don't have time to do the maintenance and things on my vehicles. I have him change the oil and transmission fluid in my Ford diesel, and have him so he can get it ready to go. I remember him, Alfred was his name, shows up over at my house one day, and he has this old van, and I just remember telling him, dude, I'm fixing to have a heart attack from getting ready to go on vacation. I'm so stressed out. But I have done certain things, you know, like I'm a guy that wants things to look a certain way. Like I literally lifted my RV so it sat at the same kind of height as my Ford truck. And I had to pay somebody, which, you know, all this paying people, this tells me why I don't have people pay for it, put the receiver on my truck. I don't pay attention to it. These people are pros. I figure they know what they're doing. So anyway, Sturgis is coming up, and I tell my wife, look, let's get back to Mike Finley. He gets the bike ready, or says it's ready. And when I go pick it up, he says, well, we had to pull it apart 3 times to get it figured out why it kept smoking. So I'm having to charge you for 3 times for pulling it apart to fix it. I said, well, what was the problem? He says, there must have been oil in the pipes. Now, these pipes were shorties, okay? How much oil could there possibly be? And I can promise you, I cleaned them 3 or 4 times before you got the bike. But I was like, okay, man, I had the money. I just paid the man. Load the bikes up. Now, we have this RV, brand new RV, that my wife literally, okay, Stacy, now don't get mad at me, I'm just telling it how I see it. I could be wrong, but this is my version of the truth. And, you know, I had to get the whole trailer prepped, you know, put all the stuff, you know, pots, pans, all that stuff. And the day that we leave, my wife brings out whatever she's taken with her, okay? One suitcase or whatever, you know. I have the truck repaired, the motorcycle repaired. We load these 2 motorcycles in the back of my truck, and it's all jacked up, so it takes a ramp and stuff, Johnny C. and I, and we're happier than a puppy with 2 Peters. We are going to Sturgis. Now, I made the comment to my wife that if this bike breaks in Sturgis, we will fix it. Okay? Now, we get out there, we're on our way. Okay? Fresh oil, transmission, everything like that. We don't get to the border of Oklahoma, and I live in Louisville, Texas, so that's like less than an hour drive, and the truck's oil pressure goes to 0. All right, fuck. So, even though it had brand new fresh oil, and those things take 5 gallons of oil, I do an oil change at some truck stop up in, I don't know where, right? But oil pressure doesn't come up, and I just say, well, if the truck breaks down, we're unloading these bikes and we're riding to Sturgis. And that's what we do. So I just take off, 0 oil pressure according to the gauge. Now, we're in Kansas. Now, I constantly check my mirrors, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking back, and I look back at the trailer like, what's that red shit all over my... What is that? I get out, transmission fluid all over the side of the trailer. Get underneath the truck. All the pan bolts are loose on the truck. I go tighten them up at a Walmart parking lot. Go to put more transmission fluid in it, and notice that there's 36 quarts of the wrong transmission fluid that Alfred put in the truck. So sorry Walmart, but I dumped 36 quarts, or whatever was left in that truck, and go put the right fluid in the truck. So we're back on the road. Now we're somewhere in Kansas. This is on a Sunday, right? And the second we're taking off, when we're leaving Louisville, Texas, okay, I can still see the front door to my house, okay, when I hear this pow, like, what the fuck was that? Now, I get out, and I kind of glance and look around a little bit, because I don't want to know what that was, because that was a sound that was going to keep me from going to Sturgis. But I avoid that sound until I get to Kansas. And I'm out, stopped, I don't know what I'd done, but I was like on the side of the road for whatever reason, in front of this Ryder truck repair store, and look and see what that pow was. And my trailer is now sitting like this, and I get underneath the truck and notice how those people who put the receiver on, instead of running bolts through the frame, they had spot welded that damn thing to the truck. Okay? And every weld but 2 have broken. And this thing is, you gotta remember, man, you got a 30, I think maybe it's 36 foot, I don't remember exactly. But here it is, hanging on with 2 spot welds on the receiver. When that receiver breaks, trailer brakes and shit don't work. All I'd be doing is just riding along down the road. Oh, look at that. That's a nice trailer right there. Look at that. That's my trailer, And so I go to these guys at this Ryder truck store. They are playing dominoes on a Sunday night. And I ask them for their help. Nope, can't do it. Can't do it. Don't have time. I'm like, dude, I'll pay to use your stuff. They will not help me. Okay? They tell me that there's a place down in the airport down the road that can do it. And I'm like, damn. So I risk it, and I make it to the airport. They fix it. We make it to Sturgis. Now, we camp at the Buffalo Chip Campgrounds, and that place is like $70 a person a night to sleep in the fucking dirt. Now, being who I am, I'm just one of those guys that I don't really like that. I'll pay it, so we pay our fee and stuff, but I start driving around, and I see this gate that this dude is standing next to, and I just act like I own the fucking place and tell him, look, man, we belong here, because everybody else is out in tents, and I'm like one of the only persons with an RV. Just when I had money, and so I just command him to open that gate, and we belong back there, right back behind stage, backstage. We've got behind at Buffalo Chip. Okay, now the benefits of being backstage is that you get water in a hose, which is nice. Okay, and we're there. Now, it rains for the first couple of days in Sturgis, and the bike is still got an issue, okay? I am literally out there in the rain working on this motorcycle because it is so muddy. Let me tell you, okay, my wife is pissed off. She wants to go ride. I said, baby, I can't barely even get the truck out of this mud, man. What are you talking about? Me and Johnny C, we go out there. Hey, man, when in Rome, you do what the Romans do, man. And these rednecks out there at these bike rallies, man, they figure out how to have a good time. I remember this one guy. If you don't believe that Harley Davidsons are great motorcycles, you are wrong. I can promise you that. There's this one dude that rode around on this FXR with these scalloped red flames on this motorcycle, that when he fired it up, it was wide open, non-stop. Went on for like days. He was in his underwear with 2 Jack Daniels bottles around his neck, and he was trying to go up this hill. I mean, full throttle the whole time. And then this big giant puddle, splash, splash. And then finally, like on the 3rd day, it finally hit that big giant water puddle. I mean, when I talk about water puddle, the whole bike went into the thing, and it finally, clank, locked up. But that bike was a bulletproof bike up to that point. And Johnny C and I were out there having a good time, playing in the mud, dragging people up and down the hill, and my wife was just madder than hell. She's just, I want to go riding. But anyway, I'm working on the bike one day, and I'm stressed, man. I want to ride this motor. Nobody wants to ride that motorcycle more than I do out there in Sturgis. But I'm out there working on it, and Stacy opens the door to the trailer. I said, "Baby, will you make me a sandwich?" And this was her response: "I'm on vacation," and slams the door. Right? Okay, great, man. Johnny C even asked me, how does that happen? So anyway, I guess the guilt took over, and she decided to make me a sandwich, and it was basically a Dallas County jail sandwich, like literally a piece of bread between, or a piece of bologna between two pieces of bread with a paper towel. No fat girl sandwich with lettuce, tomato, pickle with a toothpick on top. Not my wife, not Stacey. Okay, so anyway, she gets that. We're still a day or so later. It had to be a day or so later. I'm out working on the bike still, before we can actually get out and ride it. And I say, hey, baby, can you make us some hamburger helper? Okay. Now, like I said, we are fortunate enough to have water. We're not even supposed to be back at this place, man. We're out there, Blue Oyster Cult, and I forget who all else was out there, but there were several big bands that were there. And, but, so, because we were having to use the vendors who were actually paying to be back there, it was their right for the water, not ours. And so Stacy was going to make us some hamburger helper, a tough meal for her. But she opens the door and says, "The water's turned off." I said, "Well, turn on." She said, "I don't know how to turn on water." Okay. So I had to go turn on the water. But anyway, now we finally clears up, and we ride out to Devil's Tower, the first American national monument Teddy Roosevelt did out there in Wyoming and stuff. And let me tell you, Sturgis is one of these places you're going to leave on vacation and come back on probation, because one trip while we were in town, I literally get pulled over 3 times in less than a mile from my bike. First of all, the first stop was that my glasses were like right here. When you're in Sturgis in town riding, you're not riding. Your bike might be running, but you're pushing your bike. We get to like Lozelle Street or whatever it is, and I'm able to pick my feet up off the ground long enough to go through the intersection, and my glasses are right here. I get pulled over and cited for no eye protection. Okay, then this is like at a gas station parking lot right there, and so less than 100 yards from that is another stop sign where another cop stops me, and I get a ticket for no mufflers on my bike. And I had these long fishtail pipes that would go all the way out to the back of my bike, and my buddy Johnny C has these little short shots on his ground pounder, and I'm like, I get a ticket for no mufflers on my bike when this guy, I can't even hear my bike run next to Johnny C's. Get a ticket for that. And when they ticket you, they have you for an hour because they run your vent and all that shit every time. So now I'm pissed off. Let's just go back to camp. As I'm pulling into the campsite, I get pulled over a third time for my tail light flicker. Okay, when every day over at Glencoe somebody dies, and I'm like, you guys are giving tickets for flicker and taillights when people are dying. You couldn't be doing that. But anyway, I get a third ticket. Now, then we go to Devil's Tower. Okay, now on the way back, we have a good time. On the way back, we have to get gas, and everybody's $2 in the pump to death out there, the long ass line. Now, John C and I, we're sitting there waiting for our turn to dart out through traffic, because out there in Sturgis, you have a traffic jam everywhere you go, nothing but motorcycles. But Johnny C gets the jump, and he takes off first, and there apparently is 2 ways to get back to Sturgis, and we take the wrong way, a different way than Johnny does. On the way back, my bike starts making a noise, pop, 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 a noise I know I am not going to fix on the side of the road. I do not even want to shut the bike off, but I do, because I'm hopeful that this thing is going to work. Well, I was lucky enough for it to start back up. Okay, now and it makes it back to camp. Now I got to tell you, I'm devastated. Okay, I can't believe it. I've made it to Sturgis. I'm on my Harley Davidson, a bike that, eventually wins first place in a lot of shit. Apparently I'm good at one thing, and that's customized motorcycles. But, anyway, now this is like on Thursday, okay, when this happens. And we are leaving on Saturday. Now, I know at this point, I do not have the time to fix that bike. I will only be fixing that bike in the morning. I'm laying there in bed, and in walks Stacy as I'm in my underwear. Okay, just thinking, well, yeah, fuck, man. And I'm just thinking, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I want to see Sturgis. The bike is done. I got to surrender that. We're leaving on Saturday, so Stacy comes busting through and starts. I'm talking now. She's like a sailor. Motherfucker, get up and fix that fucking bike. You said if this thing breaks down in Sturgis, we will fix it in Sturgis. And I'm like, yeah, baby, look, the bike is beyond repair before we have to leave. I don't give. You get out there. I said, the tools are outside. Go fix it. She goes, fuck. Now, next thing I know, I hear my truck start up. What the fuck? I look around and all her shit is now gone. I run outside in my underwear. Okay, mind you. Now, we may not be out with the bikers, but there are bikers back here with us that are, like, I don't know, VIP or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, she's got the door locks, and I've got those running boards on the side, and I'm trying to open the door. She has got her shit thrown in the back of my truck, and she is fucking leaving. She is leaving me with a broken Harley, an RV, and Johnny C's no fender fucking ground pounder to get back to Texas. And so, for some odd reason, I had a spare key inside the trailer. So I run back in there, and because she has never driven my truck before, and it's long, it's like 26 foot long, and she's trying to pull out, and she back and forth, trying to pull out, which gave me time to run in and go grab a key and open the door, right? I open the door. What does she do? I'm in my underwear, hair all fucked up. She starts laying on the horn, blowing the horn, yelling, rape, rape. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I have to push her over and take over the driver's seat forcefully, okay? Because here it is, you're in your underwear, hair all fucked up, and this chick blowing on the fucking horn, yelling rape, okay? What the fuck? So I take off down the road. I'm going to drive a couple of miles, and I'm just like, what is your fucking deal? I said, you can ride on the back of fucking Johnny's bike. I will take the truck, and you can go riding. I want to ride our bike, motherfucker. Motherfuck you, fuck off. And I'm like, ha. So I get about 2 miles down the fucking road and tell her to get the fuck out and walk this shit off, man. Walk it off. Fucking straighten up and fly right. She's fucking yelling and bitching and screaming at me, Brian. And she finally gets out of the truck. She runs around to the driver's side, opens up the door, and punches me in the fucking mouth. I'm like, so I had my little 25 automatic Raven in my center console. Now, at this point in my life, after all I had been through trying to make this shit happen and being so dejected, your wife runs around calling you a motherfucking piece of shit pussy, whatever, and punches you in the mouth? Okay, I had enough. I did. That was my line in the sand right there where I am done with this. I pulled out that 25 automatic and stuck it right in her face. Now, I was serious too. You don't pull a gun on somebody unless you're serious. But then I thought, Johnny C's here, right? He'll know she was here too, because I was just gonna say fuck it. I went to Sturgis. I left her there. I don't know what happened to her. That was my story. But Johnny C, I wouldn't expect him to laugh or something like that. So I was like, fuck. So, as I say, it took her some coercion to get back in the truck. But I knew right then that our marriage was done. When you pull a gun on your wife at vacation, that's a pretty good indication that our relationship is pretty much done. So, now, but I'm still on vacation, brother. I'm telling you, so I pulled a gun on my wife. She deserved it for sure. So now it is now time to leave, Dave. And it has gotten to the point where we are now having to use Johnny C as a mediator. Hey, Johnny C, tell Stacy this, and that. And, hey, Johnny C, tell Tim this, and this as we're driving. Right, but I'm still on vacation. Now, I want to go see Pikes Peak. Okay? I want to go see Pikes Peak, even though me and my wife, we're done. On the way back, we're going out towards Pensacola Lake, okay? And this truck is a pig. It's a non-turbo Ford diesel. And I just remember this one biker, because I had the thing in full-wheel drive, low lock, full throttle, doing 10 miles an hour pulling that trailer. It had no guts whatsoever, black smoking like a fucker. I just remember a Hell's Angel passing me with his finger out thinking, he's the last guy I want to piss off. But that's how it was. Now, we're going out, I want to sightsee a little bit, and wouldn't you know it, the truck's alternator gives out on me on a freaking hill out there, and I am stuck. There's no disconnecting the trailer. We are on a hill, and I'm stuck. I'm like, fucking Satan out here in the middle of nowhere. You know, the truck broke down and shit. Well, wouldn't you know it, here comes this little family of three in like an O.J. Simpson Bronco, maroon and white, and they offer to take me into the nearest town, which is 60 miles one way. Okay, but I don't want to be with Satan, so Johnny C stays with Satan, and I get in that Bronco, and thank God I knew what that radiator or that alternator looked like, because there were two auto parts stores that were trying to sell me the wrong one, and these people were giving me a ride back to my truck, which they did. I don't remember their names, but they were saviors for sure. And so I put that alternator on the truck, and we keep going. Now, we make it to Pikes Peak. Now, I don't know, and this is before it was all asphalt, but it is $12 a person, not a vehicle, $12 a person to go up Pikes Peak. Now, I have my Cannondale mountain bike with me, and I get all the way up there. On the way up, I see these people riding mountain bikes on the way down. That looks like fun. I want to do that. Well, they charge you $25 to ride down the mountain with somebody. I'm like, you know, I don't need to pay anybody $25 to do that. I can do that on my own. Well, so I do. Now, let me tell you, okay, there's a reason why they want to do this, because I'm the guy that wants to ride no brakes. How far can I ride this hill, no brakes? Well, at 69 miles per hour on a mountain bike, mud skippering down this, I'm talking, it's as fast as I've ever been on a mountain bike. Let me tell you, it was sketchy, okay? And because I don't want to hit the brakes, I want to see how fast I go. Got a little speedometer on my bike telling me 69 miles an hour. Next thing I know, okay, is one of these state ranger park Broncos, little Bronco 2s. I see it coming up the other way, and Barney 5 slings the wheel to the right, makes that thing sideways, taking up the entire space on the road, where now I have to stop this bicycle. You know, whoa. That guy jumps out of his truck on the other side of the hood, pointing his gun at me. You know, and I stop, he goes, do you know how dangerous this is? And this guy is literally, he's shaking, pointing his gun at me. I'm like, probably not as dangerous as you with that damn gun there, Barney 5. Why don't you put that goddamn gun away? You know, and so he tells me, you're supposed to pay to do that. Now, I understand, at 69 miles per hour, when I was, you know, I was having a good time. I love that kind of shit. But I was at my edge for sure, especially going down that gravel road. It was hop, skippity, jumping. But, you know, I have to load the bike back up. I can't ride all the way back down. But anyway, that's pretty much, I just remember too, also, that whole trip, you know, I'm going back just miserable, knowing that Stacia and I were getting divorced. We did. We got divorced after that. But we're still friends. I mean, I still love her. I don't know. I think she still likes me. But other than that, you know, we parted ways from that point on. And that's my first trip to Sturgis. That's a vacation for Tim Lee. Don't do it with me.